to the podium, and student athletes Reed Bailey and Connor Cochera. We're going to start with an opening statement from Coach.
Well, thrilled, obviously, with the victory. And our guys have approached these last few days with the mentality of we've got nothing to lose, and we've had great energy. So I'm not surprised that they performed as well as they did. We also know that I think the last 7 times we've played Richmond, it has been a 2-possession game in the final minute of each of them. So we knew it was going to be 40 minutes, and there were ups, there were downs throughout that. But we fought back every time they got a lead, every time they strung together some offensive possessions. Reed picking up his third foul, and then his 4th foul to be on the bench. And I joked that Reed got 8 minutes of rest today, and he did it on purpose to have legs for the next 4 days after this one. But just could not be more proud of all the different players that stepped up, whether it was Mike Lochnane's big 3, Manny Jose's his defense, Hunter Adams' huge free throws, obviously, to seal the win at the end. But very proud of this group.
Thank you, Coach. We're going to take questions for the student athletes first. Just a reminder, please raise your hand, and before you ask your question, give your name and affiliation. I see a question right in the front.
Chris Powell, Couch Coach Live. Congratulations on the win, fellas. Reed, great game. He had 25 points in this game. And also that clutch jumper in the final minute. What was your mindset in the closing moments of today's game?
Just go out and get the win. We've had some tough losses this year, and but that only helped us in this situation. And with all that experience, we just knew what we had to do. And in the end, it's just play basketball. Nothing changes from the first minute to the last minute. So you just go out, you play your game, and it worked out.
Other questions for the student athletes? No? Okay. Thanks, guys. Congratulations.
Good job, boys.
We'll take questions for Coach.
Chris Powell, Couch Coach Live. Congratulations on the win, Coach.
Thank you.
Your team held Richmond to just 2 field goals in the final 5 minutes, and you also had a crucial 9-0 run in the second half. What was the defensive adjustments that you made down the stretch?
It wasn't anything wild or crazy. They move with such pace that it's really difficult to, and they did so many handoffs in the second half through Mike Walls. So early in the game, we ended up chasing over them a lot, and that put us compromised us around the rim, and that's why they got some rim runs and they got some kickouts for threes. So we wanted to try to get under those as much as possible. But then they're really good at getting into their next action and their next action. So the mentality was, let's get under it, but then we just have to absolutely fight. I'm so proud of Hunter Adam for when Reed went down and having to go against Mike Walls. Reed Bailey was named the most improved player of the year. I'm not allowed to vote for my own players in the poll, but I voted for Mike Walls as the most improved player of the year, with the hope that Reed was going to win it. But he is a much improved, talented player, and he's scoring it in different ways. And Hunter really battled, so we had to play harder. We had to fight a little bit more. But with Reed on the bench, I couldn't be more proud of how our guys dug in, got stops, and then translated to good offense on the other side.
Right here in front.
Hey, Matt, John O'Connor from the Richmond paper. Reed had all-star type games 3 times against Richmond. Do you have an explanation? I think he had 32, 24, 25.
He's really, really good. That's my explanation. He's incredibly talented, and you've been around Richmond and know what our offense looks like from over the years, and we've really adjusted things to our personnel, but really we've adjusted it to get the ball to Reed Bailey as quickly as possible in the offensive possession, because when the ball's in his hands, he'll score it, or he'll find a teammate that's going to be open for a score, especially against some of the switching defenses. So he's just getting better and better, and he's seeing different types of coverages in terms of post-double teams and people running at the ball when he drives it from the perimeter or from the high post. And he just made great pass after great pass after great pass. I'm surprised he had 3 turnovers. But he's just gotten better and better, and we know he's going to have a special week here.
Right there in back.
Owen Hewitt with the Philadelphia Inquirer. Is there any sense of, trying to move through this tournament with, a sense that you're kind of fighting for your lives in terms of maintaining your group? with the way things are shaping up in the landscape?
Fighting for our lives is to me a little bit of a negative type of mentality. So we've been nothing but positive, and we wear suit and ties to every game, and we chose to go polos, and it wasn't uptight or anything. But when we played at the Battle for Atlantis this year in the Bahamas, that we wore polos as most teams do in those tournaments. And I'm packing on Sunday, and I'm putting all my suits together, and I text the staff. I say, we're going polos, because when we went to the Battle for Atlantis, we went up against Arizona, we beat Providence, we played Gonzaga, we played some of the best basketball of the year, because we went out there with no care in the world. We're going to play the top teams in the country. We're just going to go have fun and do our best, and we did. And we've had a lot of very close games that we haven't won, and we've had a stretch of losing here towards the end of the year, and it's tough to maintain confidence when you have these close losses. And I felt in our game against St. Bonaventure the other night that we had to look at defeat in our eyes a few times during timeouts and at halftime, and we had to change that. And I don't know that polos is the answer, but I think our guys have just a pop in their step that's been a little different. So it's not fighting for our lives. It's playing to have fun.
Saw a question right here.
Tom Timmerman with the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. You played SLU about 2 weeks ago, and you very nearly won. What do you take away from that game going into tomorrow?
Well, it was a gut-wrenching loss because we had an 11-point lead with 6 minutes to go. I think we scored 5 points the rest of the way, and they made 8 of their next 9 shots. And we had a good look, I believe. Not a good look. We had an incredible look, which would have won the game. They're really good. They missed some threes early. They made some threes late. So I thought our defense in the half court was really, really good. I think I could look at the numbers later, obviously, which I will. But for those first 34 minutes of basketball, our defense was exceptional. Those last 6 minutes, obviously, they go 8 for 9. It's not close to good enough, but they are an absolute handful. I think they followed up our game with a 30-point win at home against Loyola, right? And I don't know how they've done since. Can you tell me?
They lost to Dayton. They were up 13 at the half on Dayton and lost, and then they beat Duquesne in overtime.
They beat Duquesne in overtime. Okay, so we're gonna, it's a quick turnaround, but the mentality is one that's very positive right now. I think our guys know how we didn't close out that game, and we can very much be in position to win if we defend the way we did and we find ways to score the way we did today.
Right here.
Liam Omerku, Department of Hoops. I'm just curious about Delani Hunt. Obviously warmed up today. He's Richmond's kind of top player, hadn't played for a while. So I'm curious if you kind of prepared for him to play, or kind of what that was like.
Yeah, Coach Mooney in the I think it was their press conference after their game on Saturday said, "I doubt he'll play, but I hope he does." So we didn't show any. Maybe we did. We actually showed maybe 2 or 3 clips today, and just reminded our guys of what he would be capable of doing if he were to play. What's crazy is there's a chance a guy plays, and then instead of focusing on just what we prepare for, then you just think about, is this guy playing, and what's going to happen if he does play, or what are they going to do or change. But once he went on the court, we were just in the mode of doing what we could to get stops and scores.
Okay, any other questions? Oh, right here.
Owen Hewitt with the Philadelphia Inquirer. Fran Dunphy is going to coach his last game in this building, presumably, and throughout the tournament. What is not having a coach like him around in this conference and in college basketball at large? What impact does that have on the conference?
Well, he's a fun guy to be around. He and my father have a very long relationship from all their years of coaching, and I remember watching Davidson play Penn in the Palestra. I was in prep school up in New Jersey back in 2000. I think it was like December of 2000, and then we played against this Temple team several years ago up at the where's everybody gamble in New Jersey? Atlantic City. We played in Atlantic City, and then obviously we've had their matchups against LaSalle. So he's an unbelievable coach, and for him to be at a place like Penn and a place like Temple and a place like LaSalle, which are all different, and him being successful at each of them speaks to his mastery of coaching. We go to our conference meetings, and that's often where I'll engage with other coaches, and he's like the guy you kind of want to stand next to because he's probably going to say something that you remember or is impactful. And I guess I hadn't really thought about what you just shared, but him potentially coaching his last game. Well, him coaching his last game, his next loss being his last game. But he's a special human that I've gotten to know a little bit, and hopefully I can bump in and hear some more of his insights.
Okay. Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, we'd like to welcome to the podium head coach Chris Mooney and student athletes Mike Walls and Delani Hunt. We're going to start with an opening statement from coach, and then we'll have questions for the student athletes.
Thank you. Congratulations to Davidson on advancing. I thought it was a great college basketball game, and really both teams played exceptionally hard and well. There were very few turnovers. The ball moved a lot. I thought it was really a great game. We've had a lot of great games with Davidson over the years, and today was another one. And unfortunately, we just recently seemed to be able to do everything better and improve everything but win. So we're a little bit frustrated, but congratulations to Davidson as they move on.
Questions for the student athletes? Yep, right here in front.
John O'Connor, Richmond Times-Dispatch. Mike, dealing with Bailey has been a handful for the Spiders this year, and today was no different. I wonder what it is about his game that makes him challenging to defend.
Yeah, he's a do-it-all guy. He's so crafty. He's long. He's athletic. He poses a real problem for any team trying to match up. And so our goal was to, he's going to get his points, but make him take as many shots as possible, rip a couple steals out of his hands. But yeah, he played a great game. I definitely should have done a little bit better making those shots difficult, but a great player.
Right here in front.
Jimmy James, the Collegian. Delani, for you, just talk about your mindset heading into today. You know, you haven't played in a large stretch of time. Just your mindset getting little spurts here and there, being back on the court with your teammates.
Just trying to be what I've been when I was playing, when I was hurt. It's just hard to digest that this is the last time playing on a collegiate level. It's kind of really big for me to be able to walk off my own too, and then also show my teammates that I'm a warrior, man. But it was just really a selfless move. I felt like I was good to go. I felt like I have something to give. Maybe whether it was on the stat sheet or not, just felt like me being out there, having a presence, even if it didn't do anything to Davidson, it did something to our guys. So really just it's tough, man. To say it's a specific mindset, it's more so it's just, like I said, trying to walk off that floor on my own too and show my teammates that if it's an ounce of healthy out of me, that I'm going to give it a go and I'm going to put everything on the line for these guys.
Okay. Here in front.
Mike, for those of us who watched a lot of Richmond games this year, this looked very familiar, obviously. And when you look back at this season and how many games were just like that, what do you think of?
I mean, I don't really think I'm not going to point out any games. I think just as a group, we've shown so much improvement over this entire season, basketball-wise, but also just character development. Been blessed with a lot of great leaders here. Number one, Delani. Couldn't thank him enough for everything he's done in my development, our team's development. He's Richmond basketball. So I just couldn't be more thankful to him and all my teammates who have made this season, something to remember.
Any other questions for our student athletes? No? Okay. Thank you to you both. Okay, we'll take questions for Coach, and we'll start right here in front with the Richmond Times.
Coach Mooney, could you assess how Dushan's finger might have compromised what he could do out there? Thank you.
Yeah, well, it looked really bad when he was coming off the court. But then a couple minutes later, Andy had said that Dushan was good to go. I feel like I think he made free throws soon after he checked back in, so I felt like maybe the ball was, settled in his hand pretty well. But yeah, I thought that it was just, wasn't. That's a difficult thing to deal with. I think he got hit in the face a little bit also in the same play. It was a difficult thing to deal with and probably not at 100%.
The Collegian?
Coach, just looking at Colin and Mike's performances, I believe Colin 9 and 8 and Mike 16 and 10, as all pending, these two will be sort of a big piece of next season leading this program as a junior and a senior respectively. Just talk about their performances today and then what that means for moving forward for Richmond.
Yeah, I think Mike played an outstanding game. I mean, he had the two travels in the low post. Other than that, he played, a tremendous game. 16 points, 10 rebounds. He has to guard Bailey as for the vast majority of the game. I thought he played a great game. He had a couple of really good passes for us. Was tough and was great. So that's great. And I thought Colin had one of his better games. We're just always trying to help Colin to be more aggressive. I think the world of his ability, his sense for the game, is really, really high. And just as long as he's aggressive, I think he'll become a great player. So, and Mikkel also played a good game. Mikkel has much more command of what we're trying to do and a point guard's leadership role than he has had. And I thought those three will all be, critical for us as we move forward, and I thought they all played well today.
Philly Inquirer.
Owen Hewitt with the Philadelphia Inquirer. As you sit, next to Mike and Delaney, and they're obviously impacted by the end of this season, what do you think that says about your group and the culture that you've built at Richmond?
Yeah, I think that's something we're all extremely proud of. In basketball, there's all these talking about players with minute limitations and taking rest, and here Delaney is. He's probably 2.5 weeks earlier than his projected date of return. Had one practice and is trying everything he can to play. He's just a tremendous person, tremendous competitor. He really embodies everything you would want in a college athlete. He just is willing to be a leader. And then Mike has developed so much, and with that there comes a lot of coaching, there comes a lot of film study, a lot of hard times, and those are the things that you have to get past. So, yeah, I think that I felt like this group was really, honestly, an A+ in everything but a couple things basketball-wise, and the work ethic, the togetherness, the camaraderie, the bouncing back, all the things they've been really an A+. We're just a little bit lacking some of the basketball things that we'll make sure we address.
Okay. We'll go over here.
Lima Marcoux, Department of Hoops. I'm just kind of wondering if you can give a personal reflection for yourself on this season. I know obviously you've kind of been around this a while, but every season's a little bit different. So I'm just kind of wondering, I know season kind of just ended, but what are your takeaways?
Yeah, I mean, one, what I just finished saying, like about this particular group, I think one of our biggest fears of the portal era was compromising on character because the recruiting is done in such a shotgun kind of way. We've been really lucky to attract really, really good guys who contribute to the culture that we have and, exceed our expectations for how we want them to be. And so I'm really appreciative for that. I love Richmond and our time there, and I'm deeply disappointed that we didn't have a better season. Richmond basketball is really important to a lot of people, and I feel like if you didn't watch us closely, then maybe you didn't see the development and growth and improvement because you have to win more games. So I'm disappointed in that and motivated to make sure that we can be much better in the future.
Back to Philly Inquirer.
You don't know that.
Sure. What is losing a coach of that stature like for this conference and college basketball at large?
Yeah, that's a big hit because I think Coach Dunphy, he's the most respected coach, or as respected as I've ever met. I've been lucky to know him for a long time. When he was at Penn, he recruited me. He's my dad's favorite coach, myself included. I really, that's a tough one because, Coach Dunphy has so much wisdom and experience that his take on things is usually pretty good, especially in a world that's moving so fast. And someone like him who can talk about how the best things might be able to be done or how we can improve on things is really critical, and then the impact that he has on all the schools he's been at. So I think that's a tough loss for us, and I think that there's no one more respected than him. And, he's an idol of mine and somebody that I've always looked up to, and hope that he can help us out a little bit now that we're not in the same conference.
Right down here in front, Richmond Times.
Thanks, Steve. Chris, you mentioned a couple of basketball components perhaps that the Spiders were missing this year that didn't allow them to have the success you wanted. I wonder if you could elaborate on that. Without specific details, just in general, what did you lack?
Yeah, well, we certainly didn't have as much scoring punch as probably a need to go through a long season, especially when Delaney went out. When we lost three, Delani and AP were starters. George Washington we lost, who was working his way in the rotation. So we had some challenges, but we lacked a little bit of a scoring punch. We probably weren't as athletic or fast as we've been. And I thought we were going to be a very good shooting team, and we ended up being just, probably a little bit below average shooting team. So they probably all go together at some point. And then I think the last thing I would say is our overall basketball sense. Davidson obviously has tremendous basketball sense. They have a great style of play, a great playbook, great adjustments. We'd like to think that we've been good at those things, and our sense was just a little bit lacking this year, and something that we need to make sure that we're either, whether we go about it differently, or the freshmen we have coming in, or the redshirt freshmen, the new guys we have coming in, that we can develop that in more quickly, because that's the name of the game now, because you have so many new faces, or most of the time you're going to have so many new faces, and how can you develop those core pieces of your program? How can you develop those more quickly? And that's what we'll get started working on as soon as we get back.
The Collegian right in front.
Can you talk a little bit about B. Artis? He was someone who started playing off the bench, then was injured, and then really stepped up for Delani, sort of taking over that starting role, dropped 17 today. Just talk about his impact in a short time on this program.
Yeah, he's been great. He's really an exceptional guy, and we're so lucky to have had him. It's difficult. He had 2 injuries during the course of the season, and so I think in terms of figuring things out and where he fits in and how to go about things, that really hurt. And then when he is kind of ready to come back, Delani is out, so that was difficult. But I think the last 2 or 3 weeks, say 4 to 6 games, he's really played well, and I think we saw more and more of the kind of player that we were so excited to get. So I think the world of him and appreciate his contribution. I certainly wish we could have had him for longer. And even today, even though Delani was somewhat limited, having those 3 guards felt pretty good because of their overall speed and ability to pressure the ball on defense. So he's really quite a kid, and we're very appreciative that we had him. I wish we had him for longer.
All set? Oh, one last one in the back.
Jonathan Tannenwald of the Philadelphia Inquirer. Hi, Chris. I hate to ask you about a game that wasn't necessarily yours, but there's one coming up this evening with a guy you know really well in Fran Dunphy. And as his time starts to come to an end, whether it's tomorrow or later this week, who knows yet, but you've known him for so long, you played against him. If my memory is right, when you were at Princeton, when he was coaching back in the day. What do you have to say about his career and what he's meant?
Yeah, he's just tremendous. I mean, he's just, an idol of mine and someone I've always looked up to. We had, when he was at Penn, they put together just a powerhouse of a team. We had incredible games, most in the 40s. And then we coached against him when he was at Temple. They had incredible teams. I think they won 3 straight A-10 tournament titles. I think we beat them when they were going for their 4th. And there's never been a moment where the competitiveness of basketball game or recruiting or anything, had a negative impact on the relationship. And he's someone I've always looked up to and hope to remain close to, and wish him the best both tonight and as he moves on.
Thanks, Coach. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much, guys.